That's live. And you ready to go?
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Let's do it to it. 2, 1.
Lift off.
All right, here we are once again, the Life on Life's Terms for podcast. I'm Tom Robinson, addict in recovery, and this is a recovery podcast. And we are not affiliated with any 12-step program, although we do advocate them. We have benefited from them.
Yes we have. Great.
I'm Chris Mandeville. I'm a heroin addict in recovery. We are here at a New Way Recovery Center in Quincy, Mass. on Quincy Ave. Lots of resources here. If you're in the social area, Quincy area, you're in recovery, like they have computers you can use. They have meetings here all day. They post what the meeting is every day. They have several. You can check out their website as well. I think it's a newwayrecoverycenter.com.
I am Anthony Fitzmaurice. I'm an alcoholic, a recovered alcoholic from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body.
Thanks for coming, Anthony. I just want to say a few things before we get started here. I'd like to dedicate this podcast to my good friend Todd, who passed away last week. He was a great guy. At one point he had, I think, 10 years sobriety. He had fought with alcohol for years and years and years, and I just heard the story, but it sounded to me like he froze to death outside on Monday night. It was like 16 degrees. He was outside. He was staying at a hotel, but it sounded like somehow he ended up out in front of a 7-Eleven. Was a great friend of mine, and actually he was someone who was going to start. I was going to do this podcast with originally. I waited for him for 2 years. He couldn't get his self together, so I asked Chris. But he was a really good soul. It's a shame. It's such a shame. It's, you don't know if you can come back. You just don't know if you get another run in you, because it might be the last.
Right. And when you explained that to me, that he was sitting out in front of a 7-Eleven that was open, that people were walking by him all night.
Yeah.
And he froze to death. Like,
No,
that's
what I surmised from the story that I was
that
told.
blows my mind, because, like, there's...
Well, but for the grace of God.
Right. I just can't... Compassion and empathy has, like, gone by the wayside for the most part.
Yeah.
I see a lot of, tragedies happening, and people are all about hitting the record button rather than reaching out and helping someone. Right. They want likes and views, and it's just pretty sad.
No, so today's existence is pretty superficial.
Right.
Thank you, God, that, my eyes were open to something different. The fact that we are all spiritual beings living a human existence, and when you suffer from, that human existence, you just don't, you don't look at things from the right perspective,
Right.
I can't imagine myself not reaching out, at this point in my life. I can't say that in certain points in my life that I might have been the person that walked right by.
Right. And I can say the same, but not today. I wouldn't,
Absolutely not.
It occurs to me, and I've been working this thought through my head. It occurs to me that, like, when you're using like that so heavy, and it's not like for a celebration or anything like that, it's like giving away a chunk of time of your life, life force. You know what I mean? It's like so useless. You know what I mean? You're not learning. You're not growing as a spiritual being. You're just giving that time away. It's like wasted.
Yeah.
And it sounds so superficial to say, oh, it's a waste of time. It's not quite what I mean. It's more than that. It's like giving away. Like, our life is precious.
Right.
We have only so much time here in this world, and you you give that time away. But it's like you're not going to really remember that much. You weren't yourself during that time period, and especially when you're wrapped in a heavy addiction of daily use, you're giving years of your life away, and you don't remember it. It's just the chase is on, and it's not fun.
It's Groundhog Day. It's all maintenance.
Exactly.
You know, by that point, it's all maintenance because you are so helpless and hopeless, you know, that you don't feel as though that there is a solution, you know, to this internal problem. You know, I know for myself, it was, you know, the last 5 years, you know, of my using, I was in that helpless state, you know, that hopeless state. Like, I didn't feel as though that anything could turn me around. And, like, you know, there comes a point in time where it's just maintenance because it doesn't work anymore.
Right.
It doesn't give you that freedom. It doesn't give you that feeling that you know, okay, I'm good now. You know, it just numbed you. It just shut things down. It slowed life down enough that you could exist, you know, and that's what I was doing. I was living in existence. I was not living a life.
Every day for me was getting off E, and that was it.
Amen.
Yeah. That was it. I didn't get high. I didn't get high for years. Push away the sickness
and the impending doom.
Yeah,
for a
little while,
yeah.
And then it was like, all right, I get off E now. All right, I know I'm going to be okay with that for a while, but now I need to feel something. So I'd go and find something else to do. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing. I was thinking about this earlier, and it was like that the euphoria that I chased with booze and drugs. Like my primary drugs it was whiskey and cocaine. You know, those were my two first loves. You know, and you know, I chased that, and I was always chasing this experience, this next high. How high do I need to get? How do I need to formulate the right fucking potion to get me to this spiritual plane that I'm always chasing?
Dude.
Not knowing that if I just turn my will and life over to the care of God, that I could reach that level. If I did some self-care, if I turned it around, and I took the same passion I had about, you know, copping a bag or getting a bottle. You know, like I chase my spiritual content on a daily basis, just like we were talking about that fix, you know, and that euphoric feeling, you know, and I get it freely. I get it freely from turning my will over to God, you know, being of service to others and carrying a message, you know.
Dude, I went through, not to change the subject, but you made me remember a little period of time I went through where I was into like cognac or whatever, right? So I'd get a snifter. I'd go into the bathroom of a bar. I'd shoot heroin with a fucking needle I used like 10 times. And then I'd come out and sip on cognac from a snifter.
I couldn't even say cognac. What's that cognac stuff? Give me that cognac.
Hennessy, that's cognac, right? That was what I was doing. Hennessy. Double Hennessy.
I remember Plymouth. I don't want to blow the spot up, but I was in an institution. I was in an institution.
On vacation.
And I
vacationed in Plymouth.
And one of the kids there was like walking around with a bottle of Hennessy in his pocket.
Really?
Like in the Hennessy bottle.
Like, wow.
And that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah.
No, that's superficial existence. You know, I mean, turn it around, right? Where did it start? It started. I was a young kid who lived in fear of everything. I was taught to be ashamed by my actions, the things I said, if I didn't line up with what society said was okay. All right, you know, like I was signed up for a bunch of stuff far before I ever made a conscious decision that I didn't agree with, that I didn't know that I had a choice, you know, in the matter, you know. And
what kind of stuff? What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, just in general, like when you grow up, listen, I grew up in the traditional Irish home, so it was like, you're a Catholic. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I didn't have a choice.
You got CCD.
Dude, exactly.
You got 4 o'clock mass on Saturday, and if you don't make it to 4 o'clock mass on Saturday, you're going early on Sunday.
Right, and you're possibly going to go to hell.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So, you know, like, and this is the difference between what I knew and what I know. Like, these are things that were told to me, like, listen, kid, you're a Catholic, okay? You're not smart enough to really do anything, so you're going to learn to work with your hands, you know? You're a bit of a pain in the ass.
Did someone say that to you?
You know, listen, words don't need to be spoken. You know,
Oh, right. That's the general feeling.
It's
you
just
got.
one of
Yeah.
those things where it's
I
like,
got
yeah,
you.
listen, my old man didn't know any better. He was a plumber. His father was a plumber.
You're a dumb Mick, and this is what you're going to do.
Exactly. Listen, don't drink too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And learn how to work with your hands. And don't cause too much of a mess of your life, kid. And listen, there's two things you should be afraid of: the IRS and ruining your credit. You know, that was the fatherly advice that I got.
Yeah.
So as you
Yeah.
can see, more than likely, you know that none of those things happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, like same thing. Like I remember 7 years old, my dad left Dear Jane letter on the Lazy Susan. Had my mom's name on it. I walked down. I seen it. I gave it to my mom. She opened it up. She cried. I said, "What's the matter?" Nothing.
Yeah. Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You know.
No, and that was
Yeah.
the thing is, so we're given this proverbial box, right, at birth. We all come out the same way, you know. We all come out, you know, naked and speechless,
Yep.
right? So we're all starting on a level playing field, and then all of a sudden, people are making decisions for us because, you know, it's like that thing they talk about in Scripture. It's original sin. Like original sin is like it just keeps rolling back. Like my father didn't know what he didn't know because his father didn't know what he didn't know, you know,
Right.
and then so that box is just dropped at your feet, and it's like, all right, kid, here you are in a nutshell. Do the best you can with it, you know. And then you go out into the world, you know. And for me, like what I've come to find is that there was this spirit inside of me that it was like got snuffed out. You know, got snuffed out because when we're all kids and we're all young kids, like we all have these dreams, like we have these imaginations that can reach far beyond reality, right? Like, and then society comes and says like, that's not it. That's not how it works. Go sit in your proper place.
Yes,
Go sit
I
over in the
agree.
corner,
I
Mr.
couldn't agree
Fitzmaurice.
more.
Listen, I
just
rem-
keep your mouth shut.
I remember flying spaceships in my half cellar. You know what I mean? Like
Bro.
when I was a kid, like the furnace was the engine to the spaceship. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know when that left.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know what? And I don't know how much of it is did it leave or did it get snuffed out?
Exactly.
You know what I
Did it
mean?
get
Like that's
pushed to
what
the
I
side
look at
or
is that
covered
the
up?
older you get, the more responsibilities put on your shoulders. And if you come from a house like I did, you know, it was like you need to do this, this, and this, and don't worry about that. You need to, you know, get good grades. You need to, you know, do X, Y, and Z. And in the midst of that, it was like, you know, like you said, like it's not like, hey, how was your day? You know, how you feeling?
yeah.
What's going on? You want to sit down and talk?
Never.
You know, so that vulnerability, that openness was lost. So you come, you shut off from the world. Like, so you start saying like, all right, I'm supposed to keep this shit inside. I'm not supposed to talk to anybody about this.
Right.
And I'm going to be the best actor I can possibly be, you know. And being a kid like myself, like I lived in fear of everything. I was afraid of what you thought of me. I was afraid of what you thought of me.
Right.
And I had my coping tools were like,
But it was never displayed as fear.
no, dude.
So what'd you say?
It comes out in bravado.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
It comes out like, for me, it was like trying to be the class clown.
Yeah.
I always want to make people
Right.
laugh because I'm
And
a people person.
so
I love people.
I've met
Yeah.
so many people that is their thing, is comedy, is humor. It's like, and I know that they are fucking dying.
Terrified. Look at Robin Williams. I mean, here's a guy who wore so many masks and he purveyed a picture to the world that, like, look at him, he's so funny. And then behind closed doors, he had no one to talk to. Like, he was in recovery. Well,
Yeah.
he was sober
Yeah.
for 25 years.
Oh, he was.
You know,
I didn't know that.
And then he relapsed.
And then he relapsed, and he ends up going back to that old, you know, state of mind.
Right.
That hopeless, helpless alcoholic who knows nowhere to turn. Like, I was at the point at the end of my using that was my option because the booze and the drugs
Absolutely.
weren't doing it. I was dead inside. I was the Walking Dead, dead asleep, 38 years.
I've been there sober.
Amen.
I've been there sober, like without doing any work.
Well, and this is the difference between sobriety and recovery.
Right.
See, sobriety is abstinence from alcohol, right? And you're living like, it was funny. I was at a meeting Friday night a couple weeks ago, and I'm sitting there, and you know, it's a book meeting, a solution meeting, and I start talking about like the fourth dimension, you know, and you know, through the work that I've done in the spiritual enlightenment that I've gone through, and the things that I enrich my spirit with, like I have reached that dimension where it's like money doesn't mean nothing to me. Like what means something to me is doing God's will, having peace in my heart, and being a loving, kind, compassionate soul.
Right.
You know what I mean? And being around people who are shooting for the stars. Like, I'm not talking about average. There's no time for average anymore. Like, and this cat, like, follows me up with guy with 20 plus years of sobriety saying, listen, kids, you know, because it was a younger crowd. Listen, kids, the fourth dimension is just like paying your bills and showing up for life. Like, so if you can just get that, like, I'm sorry, sir. Like, I wanted to jump out of my skin. I had to call DQ. I'm like, buddy,
No, like,
I can't.
rocketing into the fourth dimension is living a life that you've never known.
Listen,
That's called crosstalk, and that sucks.
Yeah.
Dude,
That person obviously.
And that's the thing. You got cats out there with, 20 plus double digits out there not knowing what that book avails.
Right? They think the most important book in a meeting is the meaningless book.
No.
Yeah. Is it important? Absolutely.
Absolutely. To
But-
the newcomer, that's the first thing you should pick up, and you should go to someone who you see, that you feel comfortable with, and you should, if you feel comfortable, they'll circle meetings out for you that they think are quality meetings. But the other thing is that Alcoholics Anonymous, or, most meetings in general, like back in the days when, like, dudes were recovering masses, and I know there was far less people, at this, but there might have been a meeting a week, but the first thing they did is they got you in the book. Like, a dude would snatch you up, take you in the corner, within 3 days the work is done.
Yeah.
And when they say experience, strength, and hope, I believe what Bill Wilson was trying to get at, what was your spiritual experience by following the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, by going through this book? Where's your strength coming from, and what's your hope?
Right.
If you've had the spiritual experience they talk about in that book, my strength comes from my God, and my hope is that you find him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It says in there that's what the purpose of it is.
Yeah, dude, it's just one of those things where it's a tough pill to swallow.
Right.
Being a man of faith and knowing the things that I know, like having had the experiences in life that I've had, like, there is a fourth dimension. It can be reached, and if a redneck from the sticks like myself can find them, so can't you?
Right.
Well,
Right.
it's
Crazy.
it's easy to say that, and that saying that rocketed to another dimension can be interpreted in lots of different ways.
Sure.
People who and so this is why some people think that they want to say stuff like that. But that's inappropriate. In my opinion, to start talking about what somebody else shared and just shooting them down. Listen, let me tell you, I know that's all ego, and it's gross. It's gross.
Well, you know what? And that's where my growth comes from.
Right.
You know what I mean? People are brought into my life like that to expand me.
Exactly.
Because the old me would have jumped up or taken you aside and been like, sir, and we would have had a nice, polite conversation outside.
Yes, I'm sure.
Today, it's like, I sat there and I sat through it. And I said, okay, well, knowing what I know and feeling like I'm feeling, and my spirit is rocketed out of me, like I call my trusted friend. And I'm like, buddy, we need to get out there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
We need to expand, and we need to get out there and bring people, to that fourth dimension, and listen, it's one of those things where it's like, we talked before when we were together, when things didn't come out so clear, but it's like, I've been in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous for 23 years, okay, and I have not done it right, and Alcoholics Anonymous has given me hope. It gave me hope. It kept me alive. It planted that mustard seed of hope that I stuck around long enough knowing that people were doing, something was happening. And it wasn't happening for me, it was happening for them. And being the good drunk that I was, and having, a diseased mind, that's not in the cards for me. Like I was going to end up like your boy. You know what I mean? That was my story.
Right.
When I hear you talk about that and I say, but for the grace of God, I mean it, because that's the type of drunk I was.
Right.
I was the type of guy that went out, I was talking about it with you guys the other night. Like, I'd get so drunk and chase cocaine that I'd go to the same guy 3 times trying to sell the same shirt. And he's basically like, dude, get away from me.
Where was that?
Oh, yeah.
Where is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Alamo?
You want to go over to Green Street.
Yeah.
You know, all right, I'll be right back. You
Yeah.
know? You know, those are the options for a guy like me when we're living with a deceased mind.
Yeah,
Because
but understand that Todd, he had a lot of clean time. He lived Castillo. Yeah. He was, and you know, he was an example to us. Me and my cousin Ethan got sober, and he was the first one. He was a fence guy like us, and he became iron
oh,
worker.
shit, I think I know your cousin. Does he live in Plymouth?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
got
good.
you. 10-4. Good dude.
Yeah, and you know, it's just like it just took him. It just took him.
And that's the thing. Like, time around here doesn't mean anything.
No.
It doesn't.
That's right.
Thank God I didn't go out. I've been here since I got here. But that doesn't mean that my recovery has been the entire length of my sobriety.
Right.
Not at all.
No.
I was just abstinent,
Correct.
running around, doing the same old things.
Right.
Like, still buying stolen shit.
Yeah.
Like, not thinking about the guy that I'm giving the money to, who's a friend of mine,
Right.
that this money may kill him. You know, that I think that way today.
Right.
I don't. If I ain't got the money, I don't buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, everybody wants a deal. Like,
Sure.
where's Monty Hall? I'll take that deal. You know what I mean? But
your age,
at
Chris.
the expense of, I know, people are probably like, Monty who?
Yeah, exactly.
But at the expense of another human. Now,
That's right.
like, you know, and you had mentioned spiritual experience. I've had several. You know, and part of this recovery process is to keep those spiritual experiences coming, because
Maintain a spiritual condition.
yes, maintaining a spiritual condition, because like it talks about with the, you know, people that on the boat, like,
Yes.
Well, like,
survival-
that's going to
survival shipwreck.
fade. It's going to
Yeah,
fade.
that's
I've had
right.
many of them, and they faded, and I
Fade.
go back to
Yeah, you go through the
same
time
person.
periods.
Yeah. Right. And
You
it's
get back to work on yourself. You start feeling good again.
right. Well, you're getting better. You're not getting well. You know, you got better. Like, you can stomach a PB&J and you can get down some Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? You can do a couple sit-ups and push-ups and get a new white tee and things are well.
Oh, yeah.
And you get
Yeah,
new
yeah,
sneakers, you're going to get that fly girl.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
get that
yeah.
new fitted.
Like, listen, like that whole way of thinking is it's so flawed and it's so faulty. Like, for me, it's like lately, it's like step one just sticks out to me, because my powerlessness over alcohol and drugs brought me, you know, to the halls. But it's the unmanageability of my mind that brought me to drugs and alcohol. So, like, having a spiritual experience, you know, and basically trying to, like, the contingents, you know, it's mind, body, and soul, you know, and I think so often we work on the mind and the body, and we forget about the soul, because it's a lot of work, and there's some truth involved. Like, how many
absolutely.
of us, like, I wasn't ready and willing to give up, like, certain parts of me when I came around, because it was like, I can't tell you the truth, because what would you think of me? I can't become vulnerable because this cat over here, you know, because I was always worried about what other people thought.
Yeah.
Like, being open and vulnerable on a daily basis, giving my will and life up to the care of God, believing in Him, trusting in Him. Like, dude, this last year of my life, like, I shit you not, has been the hardest but most blessed year of my life.
Right.
Like, I have found recovery, right? I found recovery. I left a relationship that was absolutely toxic, knowing that I would pay the price, you know, dealing with a sick person on the other end. Like,
Oh, yeah.
So I knew going into this, like, I had this moment in time where it was like, I need to lay it all at the foot of the throne. Like, this dude has not let me down up until this point. The only reason why I'm alive is because of him. Because there is no explanation on this earth why I'm not a dead man. And
Yeah, well, I feel the same way. I think about that all the time. Every year that I get, every day, every minute is extra on top of what I should have not gotten in this world.
Yeah. I'm so glad that I didn't get what I deserved.
Oh,
You know, if someone else did the things to me that I did to me,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't have my standard of living.
Not cool, man.
My standard of living, I just kept lowering my standard of living. Like, when I got sober and went to jail, like, it was a step up from how I lived.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like I said many times, all I was concerned with is that I didn't have to wear shower shoes anymore to get into a shower. You know what I mean? If I could just get to a point where I didn't have to put on flip-flops to get in the shower.
Yeah, those are like life goals.
Yeah.
Well, too, so there's this setup too, like there's the pot, the drugs, the alcohol. It's obvious. Everybody around you's like, dude, you're either gonna die or wind up doing fucking stretch.
Yeah,
you know. So then it's like, all right, what's the next thing that happens? Like, and nowadays it's like, all right, good, go to a detox, get placed in a facility, and now it's sober house living, and that's all you're getting is sober. You know. So it's like, you know, shout out to my boy DQ and all the people out there who are bringing the steps, bringing the solution to light. The people that are like advocating for personal awareness, not like, hey, I can get you in it. Because I knew for me, like, when I was in a safe environment, like jail was a cool place for me to be because one, my mother didn't have to worry if I was dead or alive because she knew I was calling because I needed a canteen, and then sober house living was the same thing, but I had a little more of I could actually mingle with the people, you know, and I settled for that, and then when you get out, you're not prepared for life.
No.
You're okay. You've got a little bit of time under your belt as far as, but what work have you actually done? Have you got into the book? Have you done some work? Like, I can tell you right now, in 2015, I went to the Anchor House in Plymouth. I love that place. I'll forever be indebted for the people in that place because it forced me to live with 20 other guys. You know, some guys coming straight out of the clink. You know, some guys were still with a jailhouse attitude. Some guys who actually acted like, you know what I mean, like, you know, people would walk in there as if, like, someone called them and said, we really need you here, you know? Like, I used to joke with the guys all the time. I'm like, dude, not for 1 second. Like, I'm humbled and honored to be here for the simple fact that someone's giving me a bed to sleep in, and they're not telling me to get out in the morning.
Right.
When they're going to work, they're not like my mother. I remember when I was younger, it'd be like, all right, cool, when you wake up, I'm dropping you off somewhere in a public area. You know what I mean?
You're not hanging here all day.
Exactly. Here's $10 and a soda, you know?
Oh, speaking of the Anchor House, I guess Todd's family are asking for donations to the Anchor House in his name in honor of his stuff.
Beautiful. No, and I like in 2015, that's when, like, I had so much opportunities. Like, I didn't, you know, everything had to happen. Like, I didn't stay sober, but it started me on a journey of faith. Like, I got hooked up with New Hope Church out in Plymouth. You know what I mean? I sat and I listened, and then I felt, you know, like there's this trifecta, there's this lost thing. Like, religion is religion. That's not spiritual living. Those aren't the spiritual teachings of the person that I pray to. You know, the God that I believe in is a loving, caring, kind God. Like, I kind of equate God and Buddha. I think those two boys, you know, those two boys sat once or twice.
Yeah.
You know, because they're teaching you to divulge into yourself, to find peace and consciousness and awareness within you. And, you know, what I've learned is, like, there's greatness in all of us. There's a God in all of us.
Right. And it's
us as we are him.
It's getting there. Because like we started off with, how we grew up and all that false information that was fed to us.
Right.
Like,
and we
buried that, and like it didn't put the flame out, but
no,
it was barely.
Luckily enough that my father wasn't the type of guy. We were the Irish Catholics. I sat in the back, and the three of us, my dad sat in the middle, and me and my brother leaned in, and we probably all took a nap. You know what I mean? More than anything, it was like, why does Mom not have to go? You know?
And as soon as you get the Eucharist,
oh yeah,
you know, you don't stay for the last prayer. You're gone.
No, you
gotta go.
You're lucky if you made it that far.
Yeah,
you know, you knew if you could cause a ruckus. Like, I mean, and so that was one of the beautiful parts, is that I didn't have too much information to go with, you know. But I had this understanding, like I talked about before, like it says in the book. You know, you come to him with a childlike sense, you know, of innocence. You know, and that's how I approach things. It's like, I don't know what I don't know. Well, what's it going to hurt for me to sit and listen? You know, and that's where I started practicing my faith. I started bringing that back to the house. I started, you know, being a person, you know, with morals and values, living with 20 dudes who wanted to live like animals.
And this is when you were at the Anchor House?
Yes, you know, and but you know,
was this time?
No, that was 2015.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I was there, and I worked with my counselor, and I was going to stay in the area because where you build your foundation.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
that worked for me. That worked for me. Yep. I have to say that I like that.
Yeah, and I didn't. You know, but that's the advice that I would give anybody when I go back there to do commitments. You know, with my Monday night group, Sink or Swim. You know, it's
what I would say is the only thing I changed was my address.
Yeah.
Everything else was the same. Because
I mean, from the program.
Yeah,
and then
from the program to where I was living, I went to the same meetings, hung out with the same people.
Exactly.
Like, because I'm from Brockton, right? And there was absolutely nothing there for me. No one, no family, no nothing. So why would I go back there?
Oh yeah, no family in Brockton.
So I created a foundation here, and that's where I built, and then. Just until recently is when I moved on.
Well, and that was the thing for me, man.
Got in a relationship while you were still in the house.
Oh, yeah. Day 366. I met her.
You know, and that was one of the things that I did is I left that area and I paid for it. You know, I went back to a situation that I knowingly knew. If I had gone, you know, and everything had to happen, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have the things in my life today if anything had been different. You know, so I had to go through every experience, but, you know, it's like people will say, they were like, oh, dude, I relapsed, I lost it all. No, you didn't. You did not.
No.
You had a momentary lapse of judgment, okay? You returned to a diseased mind that took you hostage. Because what do we do when we're going through the fire? What do we do when we go to a familiar place?
Right.
And for me,
we go to where we know.
I isolate. You know, I sit in my mind, which is a horrible neighborhood to go into alone, you know. And it's like today, I don't know, dude. Like it's an experience. Like I cannot tell you how good it feels to be me. You know how blessed I feel.
But you couldn't always say that.
No, absolutely not.
Probably not until a year ago, or maybe not even.
No. I can tell you a year ago, February 10th, 2018, dude. It was like, you know, I was sitting in. I was all coked up. I thought I was having a heart attack, and my kids weren't home.
But you were good.
I was good. I was partying. You know, partying by myself, you know, in a house with, you know, a woman that, for lack of better terms, I did not get along with. And I was contemplating where I was going to have my heart attack and die. You know, do I want to do it again? Do I do it in the bed? But no, it's going to give her the excuse and to continue the victim mentality, which is going to be passed on to my children, so on and so forth. And then finally, it was like I found a peace that came over me, and it was just like in my own voice. You know, there was no lightning bolt, but in my own voice, it was trust me. I carried you this far, son. Trust me, and I just. It was that moment of clarity. It was that moment of clarity, and I can tell you that I have not stepped away from it since. You know.
But at first, you must have been like,
"Dude, listen."
Who said that?
I woke this girl up and was like, "Can you videotape this? Because I never want to forget what this feels like." But I haven't.
Wow.
I haven't.
Right.
And as soon as I said those words, dude, like I literally
from that
vibe went away. You know, because and that was the presence of God. That was the Holy Spirit, dude. That dude just grabbed me by the back of the head and was like, "Listen, kid, smarten up. I got you. I've had you this far. Wake up. Wake up."
That was what I call a spiritual ear flick.
Exactly. And I love it when Jimmy DuVois says it. You know, he says, my sponsor grabs me and he says, "Jimmy, wake up." And that's how I felt. I felt like, you know, the dude came right into my room and was like, "Kid, wake up. You've got greatness within you. You have me in your heart. You have me in your soul. Like, go out there and be who I intend you to be." You know, like I remember I'm sitting and I go back to New Hope, right? So I have that experience. I started hitting meetings, and I still had people in the program that was still calling me, and I was being honest with them. I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm getting high. I really don't know what to do anymore." Like my ego didn't even know what to do. Like, my ego was like, dude, we're checking out. You're a mess. You're killing us. We want you alive because we want to torture you. You know, like, I equate my ego with the devil. You know, like, I don't see a boogeyman. The only boogeyman I see lies in the back of my mind. You know, and the only way I can match that is by, you know, giving my will over to the God of my understanding, living a loving, compassionate existence and doing the next right thing, and not listening to that little motherfucker in the back of my head that's like, nah, dude, just take the easiest, soft way.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
eventually that voice quiets as the other gets louder.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
It's practice.
But exactly.
It's
It takes
practice.
work. It takes work. It takes a lot. You have to feed it a lot.
It's funny because, like, so I
beginning,
called today.
lot.
I was joking with Amy. I said, today's evacuation day. Today was the day that I made the decision that I was going to leave the house that I was living in, because I could no longer accept the unacceptable. I could no longer accept a life that wasn't mine. I could no longer accept the fact that I knew that there was something in me that he intended me to do. You know, my commitment to faith gives me my passion for life, which gives me my purpose. And my purpose in life is what we're doing here. Like, I literally, like, could sit here and talk to you gentlemen for hours upon hours. Like, I left that house, I moved in with my brother-in-law, call him my brother, love him to death. Jimmy, big shout out, I love you.
Is he sober?
Oh yeah, 11 years sober. You know, and we kind of, the best part is that we had this spiritual experience. Like, I brought me there, you know, and he calls it God's house. He actually, the house that he lives in is church property.
Oh, really?
So it was like always an ongoing joke. It was like,
Pretty
this
cool.
is God's house, you know. And, and I think he was in his 10th year of sobriety, and we link up, and the next thing you know, dude, we're just skyrocketing. You know, he helped me, I helped him.
That's what I was just going to say. He probably needed you as much as you needed him.
We'd go our separate ways, dude. Like, we'd go out, I'd be over here trying new shit. Like I'll never forget, like, I started going outside the box. Like, I just couldn't go to the open AA forum because I feel like the message has been diluted. I feel like that the solution is not being purveyed. Like I said earlier, experience, strength, and hope. My experience is that I had a spiritual experience, that I turned my will and life over to the care of God. Here's what happened. Here's how good it got. My strength comes from Him, and my hope is that you find Him. Like, when you go there, people are like, experience, strength, and hope. Okay, so I was born in Hanson, Massachusetts, the son of William and Deborah, you know, and it's like, no, I'm not looking for your life story, you know. I know how to get drunk and high. I'm pretty good at that, you know.
Well, I always thought that telling the drunk log was to it was so the newcomer could relate.
This is true.
To the person up there and see that they had changed their life and believe that maybe they could actually change too. But you know, I find that a lot of different things work for a lot of different people.
Amen.
You know what I mean?
No, I mean, listen, I wouldn't have. The first guy I heard, 16 years old, I'm in a detox. I'm over at NorCap. I come off a huge cocaine binge. Basically, I'm like, oh, I got to go hide. What do we do when we need to hide? At 16, I went to a detox, and I'm sitting in there with these grown-ass people. I'm sitting in there with these grown-ass people, and this guy comes in from Brockton, puts on a commitment. He's got, you know, his hair's littered with Jerry curl juice. You know, he's got the pinky ring on. He's wearing the flashy leather jacket. He's got gold teeth, but he's talking about his life on the streets. And it wasn't that I could actually, at 16, that I could identify with the life that he lived, but I could identify with the dirtiness of that life.
Yeah.
I could identify with, you know, like I said, like, I loved the Alamo. Alamo was home for me. You know, I loved the places where people looked and felt like I did.
Right.
And we could sit down and have a beer together, both knowing that, you know what, life ain't shit, but we got this.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what we were accepting for our life.
True. I remember the first time I identified with somebody was in Plymouth, and it was a woman
In jail.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a woman. She came from a little town, like, and it wasn't.
She'd come
What
in for a
happened?
commitment.
Yeah, coming in on a commitment with a few other people, and like, I'm not a program all-star. I haven't been to a shit ton of detoxes. the detox I went to is no longer in existence. I went Catholic Charities, you know.
Oh, yeah,
I went there when it was on Main Street, and then I went there when it was in the VA hospital.
Yeah,
then it turned into High Point. And then my last one was Newman in Plymouth.
But you play worse.
yeah, exactly. And like what I identified with, you know, like the meetings came in when I was in those facilities, but I wasn't there to get sober. I was there because I had no hustle.
Yeah.
I had no money.
Yeah.
My guy got popped. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
And you know, I identified with this woman, and it wasn't, you know, the stories. It was the feelings,
dude.
The feelings. And I, like myself, after 10 months in jail, and then I'm in treatment another 8.5. Like in the beginning of my treatment, I'm thinking I'm going to go back to the girl that I was with.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so my counselor had me tell my story to him.
Yeah.
And he wrote down a bunch of stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then the next day, he told my story back to me and said, do you think this is a good idea?
Yeah.
And he made me write a letter. It took me like 2 weeks to write the letter.
Fear.
Yes.
Big time.
And then
walking through fear.
I had to mail the letter, and then I get a return letter, and like the facility that she was in was telling her the exact same thing.
Right.
Like we had a child together.
Yeah.
But that's all that we had in common.
Correct.
The entire 12-year extremely dysfunctional, abusive, emotional, mental, physical, like anything you could think of, like,
you know what,
thinking that was going to be repairable.
You know what it took for you to do that? Courage.
Yeah.
Courage is being scared out of your mind and doing the fucking anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? And of course the counselor that we all know and love, he's on the shows, Dan Bowen. He was there to help you, prod you through it.
Right.
But that's what this takes. That's what it takes to get sober, is courage. I mean, of course you're being prodded through it by all the pain and the wreckage and the horror.
Right.
But it's okay to be afraid. Just walk through it anyway.
Right.
Do the next right thing. Put your one foot in front of the other, and try to hold on to some dim belief that it's going to get better, because it is.
Well, fear's. I mean, I can speak for myself, and I'm sure I could speak for the both of you too. Is that fear held me hostage for 38 years.
You're right.
Exactly.
But I never said it was fear.
It held me hostage, and I would always go around fear, and that's where the drugs and the booze came in, because I did not want to face life on life's terms.
Yep.
And now it's like the breakthrough like the biggest breakthroughs come through the battle. You know what I mean? Like, I find out that my blessings are having to deal, like, shout out to Rabbi Jenny. I don't know if y'all listen to her. I know DQ can probably post up some stuff, but,
yeah.
you know, she's a beast, dude. She talks about it all the time. She talks about, you know, things come into your life to expand you. You know, so when I see something coming in that I feel uncomfortable, like, that's where step 11 comes in. Sought through prayer and meditation, okay? So I sought through prayer and meditation, you know, how I should interpretate this, how to handle it. And the blessing is that I didn't do it like I used to do it. Or I did it, and you know what? It didn't consume me.
Right. But that's the thing, those lessons come not the way that we think they're going to, or how we think they're supposed to.
No.
It's in the struggle.
Oh yeah.
It's through pain. It's through.
Listen, I've come to love and learn to love the struggle, because I'm amazed by what might come up next.
Yep.
What he's got in store for me. Like, when I see the next hurdle, the next battle, it's like, okay, what do we need to do? Oh shit, you know, be still and know that I am not God. You know what I mean? Just be still and be about your business. Take on the day with the same vigor, you know. Not that average, you know, that average type. Like, get at it. Like, you don't know. Like, I love this song by Lecrae, If I Die Tonight. Like, you don't know if today's your last day.
Right.
Like, you don't know if this may or may not be the last time I ever speak with you guys. So I need to lay it on the table. I need to be vulnerable, open, honest. Like, there are no shackles on this kid anymore. Like, there is nothing holding me back from being my true self. Like, I've been doing a lot of like spiritual enrichment stuff. Like I listened to this dude Richard Rohr. He's a beast. I think I sent over to you. He put out this book called Breathing Underwater. It takes, the spirituality, the spiritual teachings of Jesus, and the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And when you take those two things and you put them together, man, like this whole thing is divine. Like,
absolutely.
We are so
I believe
blessed.
it's divinely inspired. The 12 steps.
Oh man, and Bill W's a beast because he worded it and put the verbiage just right because he knew you were coming in a little foggy. Yep. You know what I mean?
Didn't he used to do like, what do they call that when you write and you try to channel stuff through writing, remote viewing? But
dude, I do that in my vehicle every day. You know what I mean? Like like the power of energy. The universe. It's funny because listen to this guy Richard Rohr. He's like, Jesus' last name was not Christ. Christ was all things. There was Jesus and then the Christ. So like the universe, so if you want to misplace that because that's not your thing, just think of the universe is all things. When you send your energy out to the universe, if you're sending positive energy, positive shit's going to happen in your life.
Right.
If you're throwing out negative energy, that boomerang is going to come back and it's going to hit you square in the eye.
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. What you put out there, you get back.
Absolutely.
People don't realize that. If you're always running around negative and miserable, that's going to be your life.
Well, I think that one of the biggest tools that I've worked on in these recent years is just to try to be humble and relate to other people in such a way that, like, I am human and they are human. Exactly. They're experiencing this physical world like I am, and I make mistakes and they make mistakes, and just love them for that.
Right.
Love them for the fact that they're human. Everybody, you stand there in line at a store or whatever, and you can go down the line, and there's all these different types of people, and they're all like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can sit there and just try to feel that sameness, and feel the love for them, even though you don't know them, that they're going through the same type of shit, the world offers, and it's such a beautiful. I love when I can tune in like that, and I can't always do it because you get so busy and you get your head wrapped around your thought process all the time, running around, and you don't take time.
Man, my thoughts can fuck my day up real quick.
You're always living in the past or living in the future.
And you got to live in the present moment. And that's one of the things that I've learned. Richard Rohr talks about it a lot, is the dualistic thinking. It's all or nothing. And when I'm active, it's all or nothing. It's either you see the world my way or we're not cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like that oneness, that like, I even equate, like you saw whether it's NA, AA, you're going to church and the fellowship and bringing people together, the oneness. Like I've been on this thing, so the dualistic mind is that, you either see it's my way or the highway,
Right.
So it's like I've been practicing like this mantra, like I need to be non-judgmental. Like this non-judgmental thing, like that, to understand that, like, just because I am where I am as far as my personal growth, that other people might not be there, but I remember when. So I have to stop and use that pause.
Right. That's exactly right.
You have to look through things. Like it's a dog eat dog world, and I had to do what I had to survive.
Right.
But now I'm alive. So like now that I'm alive, like I got to take other things into account. Like I need to, like you said, like I love being in a room full of people and just thinking about the energy that's this force field. But before there was anything, there was energy, and there still is. And you can feel like I when I enter a room now, like I don't have to hang with everybody. You know what I mean? Like if you are who you are, it's like, hey, how you doing? I hope you're well, and I keep it moving. When I find people who have the same energy as I do, I latch on to them. Like, I love Les Brown. Les Brown talks about only quality people, and he says, if you're the smartest person in your clique, you need to find new friends. Because now you're the great I am. You put yourself in a position of power, and you should never feel that. You should always feel the oneness.
Right.
Like, the crew and the clique that I'm rolling with, it's like, it's that oneness. Like, I love... I got these two cats at any point in time in the day I can call, and it's like we're already configured. Like I could not talk to these dudes for 2 weeks or 2 days, and it's like we pick up on the wavelength. We're right in stream.
See, I think like this. Like if somebody is going through this really negative thought process with me or around me, you know what I mean, and they're spewing negativity and they're cramped up in the spiritual way. They're having a hard time. You know what I mean? And I've been there. I've been that person who's been really negative before. And I'm like, you know, to me, it's like, sorry you're going through that, brother. You know, I'm not going to take on your energy and be there with you. But it's like, I still love you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And can I help in any way?
That's right.
Right. You know, that's the thing. It's like, just love, dude. Like, love is my religion. That's my religion, bro. Like, I love life. You know, I got this fantastic woman sitting out there. She's the lover of my life. You know, she's like, this union is a holy union. You know, like when
I get it, because I got one out there too.
Dude, it's not one of those things where it's like, you know, to be in a relationship. It's like when I got sober. Well, when I found recovery. The only relationship that I desired was an intimate relationship with the God of my understanding, and I found that. And in that, I found my best friend. And in that, then I found someone who matched that in a partnership. Someone who, like I'm amazed sometimes when I'm flustered, which I don't get flustered too often nowadays, but it's like she's right there to pick it up, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, how lucky can I be? You know.
Oh, exactly, dude. I know.
Compliments.
Oh yeah, and it's just like I love to indulge, absolutely indulge. Like I chase grace, like I chase drugs. You know, like I chase booze. It's my new thing. You know, and
unmerited gifts.
Oh man, and it's unbelievable. And I can find a message in anything. I can find a message in anything. And, you know, like, you are what you eat. I fill myself with, like, the Les Browns, the E.T.s, Bishop Jakes, Stephen Furtick, you know, like, Billy Allsbrooks. You know, and one of the things that Les Brown says, and he's probably ultimately the one that I love the most because he reminds me a lot of Martin Luther King, his vibe, what he talks about. And, you know, he says, like, to set your day up, the first 20 minutes of your day, the most important. Like, that should be prayer, meditation, whatever. Like, I use music. You know, music lights my path for the day, like sets the scene.
Yeah,
you know, don't talk to me until after there's been a cup of coffee and a couple smokes, and then it's like, let's get to business, let's get the vibe going, and then right after that, I indulge. You know, no, it's just.
I wish I could say the first 20 minutes of my day was like that.
Well, dude, that's just the first 20 I can remember. It usually entails me rolling over the bed, having a cigarette, drinking cold coffee until the caffeine kicks in, and then it's all smiles and love from there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I would like to work on my morning routine as well. I usually wake up and drink a coffee. Yeah, that's what I do. I sit down and drink a coffee.
Black coffee.
Yeah, But yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of people who talk about the morning routine. Tony Robbins, he jumps in the freezing cold water.
Dude, he's great.
First thing in the morning. That sounds good, you know, but sounds crappy too.
No, it's like
sounds like it wake you up.
It's one of those things where it's like in today's day and age, like, listen, you could find a meeting anytime, anywhere, any day, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's like you know, it's just like this, like, we have so many ways and avenues to continue to feed our souls.
Yeah, if you can't find a meeting on any given day, you could always go to LOLTerms.com
and listen to one.
Subscribe
to the Life on Life Terms
funny
podcast.
Because I listened to a few, and then I was going back through the catalog, and I seen so many beautiful people on there. I seen my buddy Phil. I seen Rosario was here. I seen DQ. You know, Larissa was just in.
Yep.
You know, these are all people spreading a message of hope. All people walking. You know.
Well, I think. Definitely you're one of them, just from this comment right here from Casey.
Oh, don't make me cry. Don't tell me she's on here.
Yep.
Oh, I love that girl. You know, I got 7 beautiful children. And, you know, she's my oldest. And I love her to death. It's one of those things where in life, you truly understand that, like, you're not always placed in certain people's lives for a certain reason, and you find out you might have been placed in somebody else's, in a direct way, and we share so much in common, and she's such a beautiful girl, inside and out, and I just love her to death. It's like I was telling you the other night. It's like I just take in kids. I was just meant to be a dad,
Right.
And it's not just being a dad. It's like being, like I tell my father all the time. It's like I can have meaningful conversations with my old man, and he's getting up there in age, and I'm like, the things that you probably look back on and you regret. I'm like, I thank you for that,
Right.
Because I learn from what you think. What your downfalls, like, I learn from those things, and those are the blessings
Yes.
that I get to partake in today. Yeah, she's a special one. I love her.
So we've talked like a lot about solution, man. That's
it's been a good one.
That's great.
It's been a very good one.
Solution.
But we've gone just about an hour too.
Yeah.
I could go for another hour.
I know,
Maybe
right?
a cup of black coffee. I'd be here all night.
Hey, hopefully someday we can get to that point.
Right.
I'd love to be like Joe Rogan and rip off like 3-4 hours.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But that takes sponsors, and that takes all kinds of stuff.
Put it out to the universe.
Yeah. Hey,
It's just
It's in the works.
yes. There's definitely an end game to this.
A plan. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is that it's we just need to advocate for one another. We need to speak up for one another, and that means just being unashamed of your true self, who you are, who you want to be, what you want to become, because the only person stopping you is you.
Absolutely.
And if we can set an example, or I speak for myself, if I can set an example for a person, if you knew me in the past and you see me now,
That's right.
Like
that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about, dude. Is like, and for me, it's just not even like there is no race to me. We're all humans. Human race is the only race. We all bleed the same blood.
Absolutely.
And it's like we all. It's taking it outside of this realm. Like, and that's what I think the bigger thing is that, like, this is the divinity of the whole thing. Is that this wasn't. This is meant to be us in a nutshell, but we all need to be one, right? Because there's always like this NAAA, like church, like and the division, the division of humanity is ridiculous,
right?
Like Republican, Democrat, this, that.
The lesson in church the other day. I go to church over here in Quincy. It was basically about racism.
Yeah.
But the Pastor Aaron, he's great. Like, he broke it down. Like, we all come from the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. And like, originally we came from Adam, and that got screwed up. So then,
listen, you take
Jesus came and,
dude, Jesus,
all right, we got to straighten this out.
Right, the dude's out there like, hey, listen to me. I got the secrets to the universe. And people hated him for it, right? Because people lose control when people become vulnerable. So, like, when you teach people to become vulnerable, people are going to hate you for that, because they're going to see something in you that they feel as though they cannot get themselves. Like, like, I've had so many misconceptions in my life. Like, we talked about that proverbial box that's dropped off when you're born.
Right.
Like, all right, you're a white Irish Catholic kid from Hanson. You're going to act appropriately. So anything outside of this is how you're going to feel. That's how you're going to feel about it. Nah, dude.
But there's so much to be learned in that vulnerability.
Amen. Dude, that's the first step.
Yep.
Vulnerability and honesty. If you cannot be honest with yourself, who can you truly be honest with? You know what I mean? Like, I learned that, and
it's a process trying to be honest.
Dude, it's such a process, but that's where the self-discovery comes in.
Yeah.
When you start telling yourself the truth, you're like, oh shit, what was I thinking?
Right.
Yeah. And the beautiful part is, like, I got people in my life I can call and let in to that little land, and they go, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, dude.
Yeah. Like, it's amazing, man. this. We might have to have a part 3.
Yeah.
The trilogy.
Yes.
The trilogy.
Yes. The Trinity.
I'm humbled, dude. I was humbled for the opportunity to come in.
Yeah, and,
well, thank you very much for coming, brother.
Yeah, we apologize for the other night. We had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, and then it was so late that the event that was going on was just
No,
but the thing is, we have that audio that went through the computer. You just can't watch it.
Yeah.
But we can release what we spoke of.
we'll release the audio.
Hey, listen, once again, it's God's plan. It was cut short. Got to see Ty perform.
Yes.
Ty Hunt, shout out. You know what I mean? He was great. My little man was bouncing around in the back.
Oh, he was a riot. When he had the shades on, that was...
Oh, yeah, he's a true.
He's a stud. That's the stuff. That's what it's about.
That's another thing. If we were sitting there, I never would have had the opportunity. So it's like you always see the blessing in everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
yes.
Every moment in time is... you can either you got to live with every decision. So why not make the right one? And even if you don't, sorry, what's the lesson? And what am I going to do next time?
You're either going to win or you're going to learn.
Experience is everything.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. And,
yes.
Please subscribe to the audio podcast.